Okay, welcome. This is the third lecture of our poetry series. You've already taken all of the notes for your poetry unit. So this final piece is going to be about poem number 7, which you have all received the handout for. If you do not have the handout in front of you, please look at this day in the calendar on my SharePoint site. It should be attached. Otherwise, you need to contact me if you don't have that in front of you. You're going to write one poem for tomorrow based on some of the audio that we're going to look at today. Alright, so first of all, what we're going to do, this poem is going to focus on the performance component of poetry, and we're going to look at how to use language most effectively. Alright, so we're going to look at two poems, we're going to watch them performed by high school students, focus on the language, and then we'll go from there. So first of all, let's look at Forgetfulness by Billy Collins as it's read by Jackson Hill.
Forgetfulness by Billy Collins. The name of the author is the first to go, followed obediently by the title, the plot, the heartbreaking conclusion, the entire novel, which suddenly becomes one that you have never read, never even heard of. As if one by one the memories you used to harbor decided to retire to the southern hemisphere of the brain, to a remote fishing village where there are no phones. Long ago you kissed the names of the 9 muses goodbye and watched the quadratic equation pack its bag. And even now, as you memorize the order of the planets, something else is slipping away. A state flower, perhaps. The address of an uncle? The capital of Paraguay? Whatever it is you are struggling to remember, it is not poised on the tip of your tongue, or even lurking in some obscure corner of your spleen. It has drifted off down a dark, mythological river, whose name begins with an L as far as you can recall. On your own way to oblivion, where you will join those who have even forgotten how to swim and how to ride a bicycle. No wonder you rise in the middle of the night to look up the date of a famous battle in a book on war. No wonder the moon in the window seems to have drifted out of a love poem you used to know by heart.
All right, and then the last one that we're going to look at is Facing It. All right, and this one, Billy Collins takes a little humorous approach on forgetfulness. Well, this one is a little bit more serious and looks at the Vietnam War Memorial.
Facing It by Yusef Komunyaka. My black face fades, hiding inside the black granite. I said I wouldn't, damn it. No tears. I'm stone. I'm flesh. My cloud of reflection eyes me like a bird of prey. The profile of night slanted against morning. I turn this way, and the stone lets me go. I turn that way, and I'm inside the Vietnam's Veteran Memorial again, depending on the light to make a difference. I go down to 58,022 names, half expecting to find my own in letters like smoke. I touched the name. Andrew Johnson. I see the booby trap's white flash. The names shimmer on a woman's blouse. But when she walks away, the names stay on the wall. Brushstrokes flash. A red bird's wings cutting across my stare. The sky. A plane in the sky. A white vet's image floats closer to me. Then his pale eyes look through mine. I'm a window, and he's lost his right arm inside the stone. In the black mirror, a woman's trying to erase names. No. She's brushing a boy's hair.
All right. So you can basically see how the poet or might have a different interpretation, and each reader, depending on how they feel that poem should be recited, can take their interpretation with them. So these two different poems, one a little humorous, one a little serious, had varying aspects of performance. So what you guys are going to have to work on for this poem is you're going to have to take into consideration how this poem will be performed, and it will be a piece that you will have to recite, not necessarily in public, but possibly before a camera. So you will have to use at least one literary device. Now, what we're going to talk about real quick here before we finish, now that we looked at those two examples, and those were high school students performing those poems, so this is it's a possibility. We can definitely do this. What we're going to do is I'm going to kind of write a poem here, and then I'm going to show you kind of the revision process and what I want you guys to look at when you're focusing on language. All right. So I'm gonna go with more of an abstract thought when I write my poem, but we're going to do this together. So a student is sitting in a classroom. And let's see, and he is looking glum. He begins to reach for a pencil and slips off the end of his chair. Now, what I want, it's more than just putting words on a page at this point. You guys have had practice at this, so what I want you to do is I want you to think about, how can I make this language even tighter? How can I focus on powerful language that really sends a message to the listener or to my audience or to the reader? So instead of a student is sitting in the classroom, where is going to be your helping verb there, maybe we just shorten it to a student sits in the classroom, or maybe we say sitting in a classroom, and then we get rid of the helping verb in the second line as well. a student looks glum. So we tighten our language, and that's exactly what we're going to look at for this poem. I want tight language, no useless words. Stay away from words like, let me show you, a lot, very, many. These are vague words that don't provide any kind of specific imagery for what we want to achieve when we recite our poems. So it's important for you guys to understand that getting words on the page, that's fine, but before you finalize it, before you print it, before you submit it, you want to make sure your language is tight. He begins to reach for a pencil. That's a lot of words, and it doesn't, I mean, we can get that image without using all those words. We can say he reaches for a pencil, or even more imagery, he stretches for a pencil. We want the words that are going to put the image that you intend in the reader's mind. So that is what you guys want to focus on for this poem. Be prepared to share when you bring your poem to class tomorrow, and then we'll be using these poems as well as our unknown poems in class tomorrow as examples of powerful language. Alright, so for tomorrow, you need to have this poem 7 written, and it needs to use powerful language because you are going to be reciting it much like the examples we saw. If you have questions, make sure you're writing them down so you can ask them at the beginning of class tomorrow. We'll see you then.